So we may not be seeing a war yet in terms of action, but the war of words is heating up. All right.
The obligation is going to be met. Yes, it's true. Okay, you did your job. But we all know what bosses are looking for.
We get some answers, and we get the rematch.
We won't. I'm sorry.
And the rematch, he'll be able to prove himself.
Stephen A. Smith is calling on Gervonta Davis to sign the contract for the Lamont rematch, emphasizing that real champions go above and beyond just fulfilling their contractual obligations. He argues that boxing is about making an impact, generating revenue, and boosting ratings, not just about sticking to what's written in the contract. Smith insists that Davis needs to show he's a true leader in the sport by stepping up and making this fight happen.
Yes, it's true. Okay, you did your job. But we all know what bosses are looking for. They're looking for the exceptions to the rules, not the rules. You want somebody that's about having an impact, that's about making sure that it's felt.
Stephen A. Smith pointed out that Gervonta Davis is eager for a rematch to prove his place in the boxing world. He wants to clear up any doubts left from their first fight. Despite having many options in his career before retirement, Davis is determined to take this rematch. This shows his dedication to cementing his legacy, especially after the outcome of their earlier bout. Davis has made it clear he's ready to face Roach again, showing his willingness to settle any questions left from their first meeting and his readiness to get back in the ring with Roach.
Wipe the team right back. I'm believing him. I didn't see him hurt or anything like that. I get that part. I saw him hurt when he got popped with a counter from Lamont Roach and he stumbled backwards because he got hit with a shot while throwing a punch in an earlier round. So I'm certainly not going to do that. Here's the important point to mention. All of us got to stand down and give Lamont Roach an apology. I thought that brother was going to get beat down because I saw a dude that was a bantamweight champion. I said, why are you moving up to fight this guy? Why is Gervonta Davis taking this fight? This guy's too small. What the hell is going on? He was a featherweight champion. You're a lightweight. What the hell is going on? Why would you take that fight? I didn't understand it. What I didn't know is that once Lamont Roach stepped into the ring, he would be the bigger fighter. What I didn't know is that once he was in the ring and he looked like the bigger fighter, he fought like the bigger fighter because, ladies and gentlemen, from opening bell, he walked right to Gervonta Davis, walked right to him and stayed in his face all night long. If he backed up at all, ladies and gentlemen, it was 5% of the time.
Roach continues to talk to Davis, and you're right. Davis is taking Roach.
In their first fight, Lamont Roach displayed incredible toughness and skill. He went head-to-head with Gervonta Davis, taking punches and responding with solid counterattacks. Roach's strong defense and ability to strike back made a big impression on boxing fans, marking him as a tough and dangerous opponent.
What I didn't know is that once Lamont Roach stepped into the ring, he would be the bigger fighter. What I didn't know is that once he was in the ring and he looked like the bigger fighter, he fought like the bigger fighter because, ladies and gentlemen, from opening bell, he walked right to Gervonta Davis, walked right to him and stayed in his face all night long. If he backed up at all, ladies and gentlemen, it was 5% of the time. The other 95% of the time, he walked right to Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis caught him with some good shots. He took it and then gave it back. Body punches, counter punching, left hook, straight rights. This brother Lamont Roach can fight. And he's beautiful defensively as well. And seemed completely unfazed and undeterred by Tank Davis, a knockout artist.
Okay. This is where Roach has to be careful getting off of his game plan. Yeah, he got to his head.
Lamont Roach smartly included a rematch clause in his original fight contract, ensuring he would get an immediate rematch if he lost or if the fight ended in a draw. This move showed his confidence and determination to secure another shot if needed. By planning ahead, Roach made sure he wouldn't miss the chance to prove himself again, showcasing both his business sense and his belief in his boxing skills.
I just so happen to be a boxing fan that the fact that I do watch him fight, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really like boxing.
Are you open to immediate rematch?
In my contract, immediate rematch was signed. I signed
Right.
for the immediate rematch when I signed for the first fight.
Right.
Just in case he lost or just in case it was a draw.
So when you got a rematch clause, how long we taking?
It's up to the A side and when they want to fight. So I'm thinking it's going to be soon. I'm hoping it's going to be soon. Let's say that.
What is soon to you? When you say soon to me, I'm thinking a month.
I'm thinking July.
I'm thinking July for sure.
A minute left here in the fifth.
Well, Davis ducked that one punch so well, he got hit in the back.
Renowned boxing analyst Teddy Atlas has spoken out about the need for a rematch between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach. He believes that there are still unresolved issues from their first fight that make another matchup necessary. However, Atlas also expresses doubts about whether the rematch will actually happen, pointing to the lack of accountability regarding the referee's decisions during the first fight.
I think we know the answers. I think we know the answers. We know the answers, unfortunately.
But we need the rematch, and we'll get it. But I touched on last night during the live stream, it's the great Angelo Dundee with Ali when he couldn't see and he was blinded. He didn't say go out there and call a timeout, take a knee. Go and run, move until you can see. And just to be able to go out there and call a timeout, it's like being in the schoolyard. Oh, do over. Unbelievable. This has to be addressed. This can't just continue. This referee must be sat down and reprimanded. And hopefully we get some answers and we get the rematch.
We won't. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. I am, but I'm ashamed of myself. I am so cynical, but this sport has made me cynical. I'm sorry. I don't see anyone's going to reprimand this referee. I don't. What are they going to do? I mean, it happens too often. It's happened too often. I don't know. We need a national commission. That's the only thing I could think of, but we're not getting one right now. But the last thing I want to say to put a bow on this one, Bud, we talked about the controversial part, but I want to finish with the great part. That was high-level boxing. That was two guys at the highest level showing their skills.
A lot of chess still being played between these two at close range.
Teddy Atlas has criticized modern boxing, arguing that popularity and power have more influence on the outcome of fights than actual skill. He voiced his frustration over what he sees as biased decisions, where the integrity of the sport is compromised for financial and promotional reasons. Atlas believes this shift has hurt boxing's authenticity, disappointing longtime fans, and those who value fair competition. His concerns are part of a larger debate about the sport's credibility today.
What are you going to do? I love my sport that I've been in for 50 years. I hate what people do to it. I hate it. I don't hide that. I love the fighters. I admire the fighters. I try to defend the fighters the best I can. But that was appreciated by me. To see, I appreciate Floyd Mayweather, I appreciate Sugar Ray Leonard, I appreciate, all those great fighters.
In the right that time, and now flashing some of his speed.
Many analysts and boxing fans predicted that Gervonta "Tank" Davis would win by knockout in his first fight against Lamont Roach. Known for his explosive power and aggressive approach, Davis was expected to take control early and finish the fight quickly. However, as the match went on, Roach showed incredible resilience, absorbing Davis's punches and countering effectively. This surprising turn of events caught many off guard. The lack of a knockout raised questions about Davis's strategy and whether Roach had exposed weaknesses in his game. Ultimately, the outcome of the fight sparked more debate about the true abilities of both fighters.
I expected to see a knockout. I expected to see it come at the hands of Gervonta "Tank" Davis against a dude that I thought was undersized, that I thought was not on the same level. And my God, was I wrong. So I thought it was apropos that on this particular day, more than a week after Lamont Roach showed up at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, and let everybody know, yo, I'm no joke either. Y'all don't know who the hell I am. I'm here to reintroduce him to the world. A guy that many believe should be the lightweight champion of the world in the sport of boxing. The one and only Lamont Roach joins me right now.
After the fight, Davis expressed uncertainty about a potential rematch with Roach. He mentioned that he was not sure if facing Roach again was the right move and hinted at wanting to explore other opponents. Davis made it clear that he had a lot of options available to him, suggesting that his next fight could involve a completely different challenger.
The plan was I was going to call out someone in the ring, and then the journalists are like, well, who? I can't say. Well, who are you going to call out? Well, you saw he was in my locker room. And then everyone starts doing the math. The only fighter that came in the locker room of Gervonta Davis was Jake Paul.
Oh, Jesus.
Jake Paul was in attendance. Jake Paul was in attendance with his business manager, Nikisa Badarian. Do the math there.
Tank has taken losses all over the place. He didn't lose in the ring, but in terms of his profile, in terms of things he's saying, in terms of how he looks, he's taken losses.
I'm just gonna say, man, like I like Tank Davis. I have a nice working relationship with him, but you cannot deny that his image took a hit, and it what it showed to me, Chris, is like every dog has its day, not in a good way. Like he's 30-0 heading into this fight. He's the man. He's the #1 ticket seller. He's a pay-per-view attraction. He knocks everyone out. He puts freaking butts in seats. That place was full to the brim.
Packed.
With
like
weed. I was high. Weed smoke. Yeah, I was stoned. Were you stoned Saturday night? I was a little stoned.
Yeah, I had a headache driving home.
And maybe that has something to do with me walking out of there. But the hate that came out immediately after from fighters, Devin Haney, Teofimo, Shakur, to everyone, Berlanga, to the fans who have been just waiting for this moment.
Bud chimed in too.
Well, Davis has talked shit about literally everyone too. Like Davis was on his perch, as like this PBC guy who is
gets
just
paid, who puts butts in seats, who knocks everybody out, who
it was warranted. Like Davis was the man. He's knocking everyone out, and you're selling out. What more can you do in this sport? Like that's the name of the game: make money, knock people out, fame, notoriety, and all that. So the minute he was going to slip up, and no one thought it was going to come in this fight against Lamont Roach. No. The minute Tank slipped up, you knew that everyone was going to come out with their pitchforks. Everyone was going to come out with their knives.
Boxing analysts are strongly in favor of a rematch, believing that Lamont Roach deserves another shot to prove himself. They argue that the first fight left too many unanswered questions, making it necessary to have a second bout to clear things up. A rematch would give both Roach and Gervonta Davis the chance to settle once and for all who is the better fighter, removing any doubts and giving them a chance to show who truly comes out on top in the ring.
And I concur with Dan Rayfield. A win taken away from Lamont Roach in such a big moment changes so many things. He deserves this win, and I feel like they took it from him.
Chris, rematch in Brooklyn. Let's run it back. I want to see it again. I was there. It was
Brooklyn.
The energy was great in there.
What about Vegas? Less taxes.
Well, that's
Brooklyn,
that's a good
the
point.
scene of the crime. Go back to it and
they take a lot of taxes in New York.
Yeah, I want the justice in the room.
But thank you. Justice in the same state would be absolutely fantastic. Don't forget Lamont Roach Jr. joining us later in the week to discuss this fight, his thoughts on it, his emotions, his feelings. It's all right here on Pro Box TV. Find out when millions are watching.
Jab by Garcia.
Boxing commentator Showbiz believes that Davis, being the better fighter, would make the right adjustments in a rematch to secure a clear win. This view highlights the idea that both fighters would likely improve their strategies and tactics if they face each other again, making the next fight even more exciting and competitive.
As far as the rematch, Gervonta versus Lamont Roach, who do I got? I got Gervonta, and possibly by knockout.
Fuck Showbiz.
There's a lot of people that say that wasn't really quite Gervonta Davis. Me, on the other hand, I think Gervonta needed his ass whipped. I think victory was defeating Gervonta. Gervonta's been doing the same damn things, thinking, okay, this should beat you. I'm going to collect the data, then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to turn up. And Lamont was ready for that shit. What I'm saying is, I think Gervonta is a greater fighter than Lamont Roach. And I think Gervonta is going to make those adjustments. Now, I know I brought up Roy versus Tarver. And Lamont Roach can definitely look at Gervonta and say, any hair grease in your eye tonight, Tank? He could do that. And I think that would be classic. But you could compare it to the Montel Griffin fight, right? The first fight, Roy and Montel, they were going at it. And Roy kind of figured him out later. The second fight, Roy just blew him out. Tank, he can do that. So, I got 800 again on Tank to knock.
Reports indicate that the rematch could take place as soon as June 21st. This timeline shows that both fighters are eager to get back in the ring and finally settle their differences once and for all.
The Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach Jr.'s rematch is set for June 21st. Now, I spoke about this other day that this rematch could be happening in June, and look like that's what it's going to be. Now, Lamont Roach, in order to beat Tank, he's going to have to do a little bit more than what he did the last fight. He either has to knock Tank out or do more than what he did the last time and make sure Tank doesn't do more than what he did last time. in order to get the victory against Gervonta Davis. Now, Gervonta Davis still has a 0 on his record. He now has a draw on his record against Lamont Roach. So hopefully this fight really goes down in June. It's supposed to be June 21st in Las Vegas, the rematch. Many want to see because many thought that Roach won the fight and the knockdown should have counted, which the knockdown did not count. It is what it is. So we got to go back in there and see if we can do a little bit more, stay focused, and get the victory. Or same thing goes to Tank. You know, Tank got to prove to the people that Roach is not better than him and Roach is not on his level. That's up to Tank Davis. We don't know if Tank just wasn't focused that night or Lamont Roach really has his number. I'm looking for Tank to maybe finish the fight this time, but to be honest, I don't think that Tank will be able to knock out Lamont Roach like he's been knocking out his opponents in the past, because Lamont Roach was taking some of his best shots. Some people think that because these two guys are friends, Tank didn't want to knock him out. And Tank said after the fight that he could have did a little bit more. So with that being said, maybe there's some truth to that, and maybe there isn't any truth to that. But we will find out on June 21st in Las Vegas. So be on the lookout for that. Who do you expect to win in this rematch? Holla at your boy.
Taller guy and Garcia.
In the upcoming rematch, Roach is expected to adjust his strategy to better counter Davis's strengths. On the other hand, Davis will likely focus on defending his title with extra caution, aiming to avoid the mistakes made in their first fight. The first bout ended in a draw, leaving both fans and analysts divided on who was the true winner. This outcome has only increased the demand for a rematch to settle the debate and determine a clear victor.
Yo, fight fans, did you catch that Gervonta Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach bout? Talk about controversy. The judges called it a draw. But let's be real, a lot of people think Roach got robbed. Both fighters brought their A-game, showing off some serious skills in the ring. Roach was on fire, landing clean shots and outworking Tank in several rounds. But Tank had his moments too, showcasing that explosive power we all know. But Tank going on one knee or being wobbled didn't swing it toward Roach. I don't know about that, but either way, now everyone's buzzing about an upcoming rematch. I mean, who wouldn't want to see these two go at it again? What's your take? Did Roach deserve the W, or was the draw fair? Drop your thoughts below and let's break down this fight.
Go downstairs. There he is, that partially blocked, but there he goes with the right hook.
Prominent commentator Joe Rogan didn't hold back when criticizing Tank Davis for hesitating to commit to a rematch with Lamont Roach. Rogan dismissed Davis's excuse about having something in his eye during the fight, calling it a weak reason. He argued that fans deserve a clear rematch, especially considering how controversial the first fight was. Rogan was also shocked that the referee didn't count a key moment in the 9th round as a knockdown, suggesting that this mistake could have changed the outcome of the fight. He emphasized that boxing needs to prioritize fairness and accountability for true competition. The moment in question was when Davis took a knee in the 9th round, but the referee didn't officially score it as a knockdown, which has sparked a lot of debate about the fight's result.
That was trash.
Well, I thought it was a good fight. You didn't think
great fight, but I just champion guy taking a knee, talking about greasing his hair.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I'm like, yo, how you just in the middle of the fight just go wipe your face?
Also, here's the deal: if you take a knee, that's a knockdown.
That's a knockdown. Subtract 2, right?
You got hit with a jab.
Yeah.
You took a knee,
and then you walked off.
Exactly. That is a knockdown.
Yeah.
So I think they're reviewing that right now.
No, that guy lost maybe.
Well, I feel like if they do review it and they do judge it as a knockdown, which it was clearly a knockdown to everybody,
a knockdown.
You take a knee, that's a knockdown.
If
I
you walk
think
off
they will probably give it to Lamont.
This is a very interesting rule. They have a power slap that kind of talks about what you guys were just discussing.
Some analysts believe that Roach would have a strong edge in a rematch, pointing to his performance in the first fight and his ability to take advantage of the weaknesses they noticed in Davis's strategy.
Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach is staying as a draw, which is bullshit because Gervonta Davis obviously took a knee and it should have been counted as a knockdown, but it wasn't. But this just means that Lamont Roach is going to take Gervonta Davis in the rematch, unless Gervonta Davis ducks the rematch with Lamont Roach because he knows he's going to get his ass whooped once again.
If I get touched, I'm coming on that ass.
Counterpunching the longer reach, the taller guy and Garcia.
Davis's trainer recognized Roach's skills and mentioned that their initial game plan was well thought out. He pointed out that only small adjustments would be needed for the rematch, showing confidence in the approach they had set up for the first fight.
What do you think the biggest surprise was in the fight?
It wasn't a surprise because we know Roach. It wasn't a surprise. Roach can fight. A lot of people think because a person is not popular, that they don't exist. There's fighters out there that can rumble. They just got to get the opportunity, you know?
Speaking of rematches, Jalil Hackett is getting his opportunity again to fight the guy that he had a controversial loss to. It'll be happening in Florida, I think, next week?
March 15th, I think.
Let's talk about
I'm rocking a major shirt now.
Major.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, how's that rematch look like, and then what's the difference makers coming into this fight?
The first fight, I thought, everybody thought Jalil won. We just got to turn, hit the gears a little harder. We ain't really got to change too much. Just got to put the icing on the cake, Put the icing on the cake this time, that's all. He did enough to win the last fight, but we was in somebody else's territory,
This time around, being in Florida, do you feel like it's a mutual zone?
Yeah. It's more of an even playing field in Florida.
Okay. Do you feel like he needs a stoppage to win the fight due to what happened the first time?
Not necessarily a stoppage is good, but not necessarily.
That's all for today's video. Be sure to stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.